got more. Daddy wants me to shut up.
Hello and welcome to my channel. Vice Rhino here. I've got Heidi over there instead of Suris.
Hi.
So this was a last minute change. That's why the stream was late. Suris popped into the Zoom meeting, and I'm not going to give details, but he did not sound okay. And I asked if he was okay, and he was like, "Yeah, I can push through for the hour and a half." And then I'm not going to say what came next because I don't know how much of this he wants to make public, but yeah, long story short, I was like, no, if you need the night off, take the night off.
That's more like a long story medium.
Sure, long story medium. So I've got her with me. She's my emergency sub.
Emergency sub.
Everybody should get an emergency sub.
I'll go down.
Because subs go down.
You're welcome.
So yeah, I know I've got a bunch of Suris fan artists in the chat, so yeah, do what you will with that exchange that just happened. I didn't get a proper sound check out of you for this one, so say some stuff.
Hello. Goodbye. I don't know, I got nothing else to say today. You know I don't do that.
Whereas Suris, there was some form of emergency, basically.
Yeah, even your medium story didn't make that clear.
He tried to make it, he could not. So I got a person with real boobs to sub for him.
Woo!
Anyway, channel announcement. If you're a member, which I know you're not because I don't have any members on this channel yet, but members will get to use Rhino emojis, which, let me see. Oh, Neuromptipus just became my first member.
Yay!
That's a good one, I'll give it that. But yeah, they're Rhino emojis. Because of YouTube limitations, there's only 4 of them right now. Because until I get 2 members, I can't do the other 6 that I have. But one of them is technical difficulties, and I want... My vision for the future of this channel is that all of you guys are... all of you guys are members, and every time I start the stream, you're all like just spamming the chat with the technical difficulties emoji, because that's realistically that's how the stream starts. Vice Rhino, you're slightly echoey. Yes, that's because she has an aversion to being near microphones, so I have to crank the gain up on her microphone.
Oh, sorry, I will put it to my mouth.
You'll eat the microphone. Deep throat the microphone. That's how you, when you deep throat the microphone, that's how you...
But then they can't see my cute face.
If we're a bit echoey, it's because we're in the same room on 2 microphones, and sometimes I have to turn the gain up so you can hear what she's saying. Hi.
Hi.
So there, we got 2 new members. Secular Storm Chaser 007 is our next member. It says, wait, wrong one.
Well, that's all of them.
Yeah. No, but he sent the default rhino emoji first. And then all of the ones that are available right now. Yeah, there we go. We got nobody in our live stream that we did yesterday used a single emoji except for me. I made these available to my Vice Rhino channel thing as well.
Aw, I'm sorry. How did that make you feel?
A little bit disappointed.
Yeah.
But I'm happy people are using them here.
Oh, good.
Okay, anyway, we have a lot to cover today. Like, a lot.
So he's going to cover a lot, and I'm just going to sit here and look cute, because that's what I have
She
to...
doesn't follow politics, so I'm about to talk about Clarence Thomas, and I would be willing to bet she has no idea who that motherfucker is.
None. I've got none.
All right, so heading to our first news item today... Trump stiffed his alleged co-conspirators whose false claims brought in $250 million. Hey, we got another member.
Members!
Welcome,
I like members.
Regios. I should do... There's a game streamer that... He's the only game streamer that I watch because he does, like, Hollow Knight stuff, and you know that I'm weirdly obsessed with Hollow Knight.
Yes, you are.
He calls his members the God Gamer Academy.
Okay.
And every time someone signs up, he puts like an echo reverb thing on his voice. He's like, "Welcome to the God Gamer Academy," and it's funny.
That's awesome.
I should do something like that.
I'm glad you enjoy it.
Everybody's just spamming all the rhino emojis. I love it.
Rhino. Maybe I'll log in
Rhino-mojis.
so I can actually see what's going on in the chat, because that's my strong point.
Yo, what, reading the chat? Yeah, she's excited for this because normally she's watching this on the stream and she's like, she can hear what I'm saying, but she has to wait the few seconds delay to hear what Suris is responding to me. So she's like, oh, I get to hear the stream in real time this time.
Except I'm on the stream, so it's like...
Yeah. So anyway, Donald Trump is a big fucking idiot because he had a bunch of lawyers working for him that were doing crimes for him.
What? No way.
Sorry, allegedly doing crimes for him. They were doing crimes. Yeah, he didn't pay the people that were doing crimes for him. So now... The
criminal didn't pay the criminals?
Now when it comes to indictment time, when everybody's being indicted, and it's like, hey, there's... Justice says himself. I assume that's an answer to the question, is there anyone he didn't stiff? Yeah, he makes sure he takes care of number one.
Yeah, I don't know about Ivanka, though. That's still questionable.
No, he flaccid her.
Oh.
Did you see there's one of his ex-wives, so I don't know how to say this without sounding conspiratorial, but I could totally see it actually being conspiratorial. But his ex-wife, Ivana, I think her name was, she fell down the stairs and died, like days before she was supposed to be deposed by the January 6th Commission, or deposed by something with regards to criminal investigations. She's dead. And she was cremated and then buried on one of Trump's properties in a full casket that took 10 people to carry. And this was around the time when people are starting to be like, he's got an awful lot of documents he's not supposed to have. So, like, there's a lot of suspicion that, like, there's some documents buried on his golf course in her grave. But, like, it's been, like, a year, and it's already overgrown, and they like, the grass is all, like, patchy and gross. So, like, he's not taking care of it. But, like, he put his ex-wife on his property basically for a tax break and potentially to hide some documents.
Yeah, you'd think you'd take care of it if your ex-wife was really there, considering that's your children's mother.
What makes you think he cares about his children?
Well, he cares about Ivanka. That one, at least. We got one.
Fennec says, who buries cremated remains in a full casket? There ain't that much left. Yeah, I agree. I don't actually know that she was cremated. I just know that that's what people... Like, that's what the conspiracy thing has been. I haven't actually looked into it. But this is one of those things where it's like, this is a conspiracy that I could see actually being, like, a legit conspiracy. But I mean, this is based on our experience with Trump doing everything else. Donnie Jr. wants daddy's love. Yeah, he's on Twitter so often, just being like, my dad's great. He couldn't possibly do anything wrong. Dad, have you noticed me yet? Dad. Oh, we got another Suris looks different today.
Suris looks adorable. I mean, I don't have the boobs like Suris does.
The cleavage isn't there.
I apologize. Next time I'll just...
She found out she was streaming with me about 30 seconds before we streamed.
Yeah, sorry.
Like, I'm going to quickly go out and get high. But then she did an edible, so it'll be like an hour before she's actually loopy.
30 minutes-ish. I was trying to find if they said on like an actual news site how she was buried, but that took too long.
Okay. All right, anyway, several of the attorneys who spearheaded President Donald Trump's frenzied efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 election tried and failed to collect payment for work they did for Trump's political operation. So he didn't pay them, and this is despite the fact that their lawsuits and false claims of election interference helped Trump's campaign and allied committees raise $250 million after the election. So he raised $250 million off the work that these guys were doing, and he didn't pay them.
They're not very good lawyers.
No, they're not. They're shit lawyers. Half of them aren't. Well, maybe not half of them, but there's a few of them that are not even lawyers anymore.
They forgot to get paid. How do you forget to get paid?
No, they didn't forget to get paid. Not lawyers, a turkey and a melting wax figure. Yeah. So Giuliani's the melting wax figure. Which one's the turkey? Would that be the Kraken? Sidney Powell? Is she a turkey?
I don't know these people. Don't look at me.
What are you doing on a political podcast?
I'm here for my cuteness. I already said that.
Okay, that's fair. Okay. Jassa clarified that Powell is the turkey. So yeah, Sidney Powell's the turkey. I don't know what she looks like, so I can't see. So Trump and Giuliani apparently had a handshake agreement that Giuliani and his team would get paid by the Trump political operation for their post-election work, according to Timothy Parlatore.
A handshake? Really?
A handshake agreement.
For a man who's a terrible businessman, you're going to take a handshake?
Steve Brown says, edibles rock. I drink my weed. I can't smoke.
Ooh, I might have one of those in the fridge, too.
All right. Go for it. Oh, it's not what she looks like. It was what she sounds like. I actually have no idea what she sounds like. I've never listened to a clip of her speaking that I'm aware of. I probably have heard her voice.
Whose voice? Who are we talking about?
Sidney Powell.
Oh.
The Kraken. She was the lawyer who filed most of the lawsuits contesting the election results in most of the states. And then she would go to court and the judge would be like, do you have any evidence? And she'd be like, no. And then the judge would be like, okay, well then I'm throwing it out.
Come on, Puddles.
What'd she get?
Painting thing.
A painting thing.
Yeah.
He's a wannabe mob boss. Yeah, well, he's being charged under RICO, so that's the mob boss statute. So Giuliani was apparently requesting $20,000 a day, and that's what Trump agreed to pay. So in total, that would be like $800,000 that Trump owes Giuliani. But he didn't pay him. He reimbursed some travel expenses, and that was it. Rico, drink. The real payment is the fake friends we make along the way. Here, we got some puddles on the stream. So what's really funny is there's one of these lawyers, Brian Carrick, I think is his name. Hold on a second. Bernard Carrick.
There you are.
Bernard Carrick said lawyers and law firms that didn't do shit were paid lots of money, and the people that worked their ass off got nothing. So that's referring to the fact that like Trump is using this money for his legal defense for his crimes, as opposed to for fighting the election results.
What?
I may as well be streaming alone.
Hey, they want puddles. You talk politics. They get puddles. Everyone's happy.
Yeah. So it says Trump has a long history of not paying his bills, but the revelation that he likely stiffed Giuliani, a longtime friend, is all the more striking, given how much of the work Giuliani did for the Trump operation is detailed in a sprawling RICO indictment in Georgia released on Monday, in which Giuliani is a co-defendant alongside Trump and 17 other people.
How is that surprising? I do not
It's
find
surprising because they've been buddies for years.
Ooh, he's been
it's
friends.
and no, it's surprising because of what I said earlier. He's getting these lawyers to do crimes on his behalf.
That doesn't surprise me.
And so if he doesn't, yeah, no, that's not surprising. But like, if you don't pay the lawyer that is there to do crimes on your behalf, then when you get caught doing the crimes and it comes to trial time, now the lawyers are going to be like, hey, that motherfucker never paid me.
Yeah, but
So,
he never
like,
expected to get caught.
if I
So
turn on him and testify against him, I might get a better deal. I hear Rudy can't practice law anymore. A shame, because he really needed more practice. Yeah, no, he is one of the ones that got disbarred in the wake of this whole thing. He literally sacrificed his career for the guy and didn't even get paid.
he's just as dumb as Trump.
I've said this before, but like Rudy could have just, after he was done being mayor of New York City, he could have just shut up and disappeared from the public eye and gone down in history as America's mayor. So he's you familiar with? He was the mayor when 9/11 happened, and I guess he handled it really well. I don't really remember the details, but I do remember, like, that was the first time I ever became aware of a mayor of an American city's name was after 9/11.
Yeah, I don't know that I know any.
Yeah, so that's...
I mean, I also don't know half of their people, so that's not really saying much.
Yeah, I don't know who Clarence Thomas is.
No.
I might just skip that news item today. Okay. Summary. Clarence Thomas took a lot more money from billionaires who want him to decide Supreme Court decisions certain ways than was previously disclosed. That's the whole story.
He's a Supreme Court judge?
He is. He's a Supreme Court judge who billionaires will fly around the world to...
Does that
give
mean that we're
lavish
losing a
vacations.
Supreme Court judge and we need a new one?
I
Or
wish.
they?
That would be ideal, but really, the Supreme Court is accountable to nobody, so he just takes these sweetheart deals, votes for things in favor of the people that give him these sweetheart deals.
I thought that's the point of having 3 branches, is so that everyone's accountable to somebody.
Yeah, no, Supreme Court doesn't have accountability.
What the fuck?
Okay, I have not been following the chat, but Naramdaput says, happens to a lot of people. J.K. Rowling, Richard Dawkins, didn't happen to Orson Scott Card. He knew to keep his horrible ideas on the download. Oh, the Giuliani could have just kept his mouth shut. Yes. Yes, J.K. Rowling could have just kept her fucking mouth shut. Richard Dawkins could have just kept his fucking mouth shut. Orson Scott Card... yeah, he... I don't know. I was very disappointed when I found out how crazy religious he was. He's the author of Ender's Game.
Aww.
Which
That was a
really
good movie.
book. Did you just say it was a good movie? No, the movie was shit. The movie was shit. Okay. You know what, though? It was a fun to watch shit. So if you want to watch that with me, we can watch it again.
It was a
And we
fun
can
to
laugh,
watch.
We can laugh at
movie.
Harrison Ford just phoning it in.
I enjoyed it.
The kid that played Ender was the kid in Sex Ed, I think.
I haven't seen Sex Ed.
The person who played Scully in X-Files is his mother, who's a crazy sex therapist, who is way too sex positive.
Yeah, I've seen the ads for it, but I've never actually seen the show.
I haven't seen I've seen the first season, and yeah, it was funny, but like, it wasn't entertaining enough that I bothered watching the second season when it came out.
I gotcha.
So yeah, anyway, Trump made $250 million off these people work, and he used that money. It went into his Save America PAC instead of being used to pay the people that were doing the work for him.
And I guess you could argue it was for a good cause.
Yeah, well, his PAC is now paying for his legal defense for all this shit, which like they paid $47 million in legal fees from 2020 to 2021.
How do people keep giving him money? How?
I don't know. The dude is ostensibly he's a billionaire, but he his main source of income is begging people for money when he gets in trouble.
Why would you give someone money?
Grift. It's such a clear grift.
I'd be like, I would like some money so I could buy some bread, please. Why would? No, stop giving him
Jessa
money.
says, I argue they didn't do it. They didn't actually do any work. They did. I have read the Georgia indictment. They did a lot of work for Trump. they did all his dirty work. Like, Trump's name is only on a few of the charges in the indictment, and it's only in a few of the paragraphs of the indictment. No, they're not insignificant ones that they're in, but yeah, no, these guys did all of Trump's dirty work. Like, John Eastman, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, their names are all over this shit. Yeah, Rosina Keller says Trump is not a billionaire. Yes, that's why I said ostensibly, because, like...
Sophistry.
You don't know what ostensibly means? You are an intelligent person, but every now and then I just run into something that's like, really? You don't know that? You do know what ostensibly means, right? No,
I don't.
Ostensibly is like... It's presumably like
I mean,
it's
within
said that he is a billionaire, but
within
there's some
context,
doubts.
I understood it, but yeah.
I mean, to be fair, context clues are how I got most of my vocabulary, and that has caused some embarrassment at times. Like, there's still a video up on my channel you can go where I talk about the penultimate something or other. But it was actually the ultimate something or other, because penultimate is the thing that comes before the ultimate.
You lost me.
Yeah, I lost myself on that one. I'm sorry, I keep distracting myself because I'm like looking up my thing. I'm like way whiter than normal.
You are.
I'm incredibly white.
Ghostly.
My Scottish heritage is shining through my face right now.
Does that mean I'm whiter than I am?
On the camera? Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Sad.
That's how you learn any language, isn't it? Yeah, well, that's how kids learn language, but eventually you can look things up in a dictionary.
Oh,
anyway.
Go get him, Puddles.
Yeah, so that's the main thing here, is that he's not paying his co-conspirators, which increases the chances that he's going to flip on them. There was also one, is it Janine Pirro? I don't know. And it's not like you're going to correct me, because you don't know who any of these people are anyway. But there's one of them who, like, apparently he has refused to pay for her legal defense with regards to the Georgia thing.
Can we just get to Kevin Sorbo? Because I do know who he is.
He's coming up.
Yeah!
We got some K-Sorbs tweets. Wouldn't a postscript be post-ultimate? I guess it would, actually, yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think as Janine Pirro, he's refusing to cover her legal fees for the Georgia indictment that she's being indicted with him for. So it's like, if you don't want her to flip on you, maybe pay for her lawyer.
I feel like that should be illegal.
Yeah, that should be. Well, I mean, that he's gotten into some trouble over that. Is that, like, he has sent lawyers to go into people and be like, I am now representing you in the past. And, like, these people, like, some of them have said, no, you're not. But
he's watched a few too many Law and Orders there.
Yeah, no, probably, actually. He watches a lot of TV. Giraffage says Hercules.
I know, I loved that show when I was young. It was so good.
Okay, so that brings us to the indictment. Let's talk about the actual indictment. So this is he's being charged under the RICO Act, which is basically the criminal organization. It's the act that showed up as essentially the way to charge mob bosses that have this thing where, like, they won't say, oh, go kill that guy. They'll be like, oh, I've got a problem I need you to take care of for me.
Yeah, you do.
And everybody knows. No, I'm talking about killing people here. Not that's different category of problem. You kill my boys. Speaking of subs.
Yes.
So yeah, RICO is basically to get around the whole, like, oh, they were being vague, so they weren't technically involved, but they were clearly directing the whole thing. And so if you read the thing, like, so many Republicans are responding to this by being like, oh, so what? It's a crime to make plans with your friends now? It's like, yes, if those crimes involve overthrowing the government and committing fraud and shit like that, yes, that is a crime.
It sounds about right.
The details matter here.
Sounds about right. We need some edumacation going on.
Well, yeah, I have a clip of Marjorie Taylor Greene saying, I don't want my staff educated. because it was a vaccine person that like part of her job is like examining the vaccine injury report database, which is like basically if you get a vaccine and you get any sort of injury, like if you get into a car accident, then your injuries from the car accident go into this vaccine injury database thing.
Okay.
And so it's part of her job to like sort through the data and see like what of this data could plausibly be caused by the vaccine and what is clearly not. Right. And so then you look at that data and you figure it out and like, okay, so there might be something here, let's investigate this further, and like that's the whole thing. But anyone can add an entry into this database. Literally anyone. So like people could just go in and be like, yeah, I got the vaccine and then I had spasms, like they showed on TikTok, and wasn't ever a side effect until that one person did it on TikTok, and then suddenly all the conservatives were getting spasms.
Hive mind.
Yeah. Yeah, Jassa says, if your pet passes away, that's a symptom of the vaccine. And there's good reason for this though, like because like if you break your arm, go to the doctor, that could be entered in the database. So the thing is, if there's a bunch of broken arms or broken bones that are associated with getting the vaccine, that could be indicative of the vaccine causes dizziness. And you're more likely to break your arm if you're like climbing a tree and you suddenly get dizzy because you're a kid. You're climbing, like kid vaccines. You climb a tree, you get dizzy, fall out, break your arm.
Are you saying I can't climb a tree?
I'm saying you probably wouldn't climb a tree.
You don't know me very well, do you?
Rosina Keller for $20 super chat says Jenna Ellis is the former Trump lawyer crowdfunding defense. Janine Pirro is a Fox News host with a wine box under her desk. So Jenna Ellis is probably the one I was talking about then. Janine Pirro is the Fox News person.
Wrong Jay, sorry.
Yeah, so even the people that know all the conservative pundits' names get them confused sometimes, so I can't blame you for not keeping track.
Yeah, no.
Jassa says it's not a wine box, it's an IV.
Jassa.
Strata Hawk says Heidi's going to climb a tree and break her arm despite VR. Hey, maybe if you need surgery for a broken arm while they're in there, they can do your carpal tunnel.
What?
She's been waiting for carpal tunnel surgery for a while now. And it's not like this is... So less to be like, oh, Canadian healthcare wait times.
I was just about to say, you better do that whole spiel.
Yeah, no, this isn't a Canadian healthcare wait times are too long thing. This is a, there's been a miscommunication somewhere between our main doctor's office and the surgeon that she's waiting for, because the wait time for the surgery is like a month. Like my sister got her carpal tunnel surgery done at the same doctor as Heidi's, and it took like a month in between the first appointment or the doctor's appointment and the actual surgery. So like it's not a long wait time, but there's been some communication breakdown. And I have a very good doctor. The flip side of having a very good doctor is that she's a very busy doctor, which means it's almost impossible to call her because everybody's trying to call her at the same time. So you can you have to strategically plan your day around calling her at this time because that's when her phone lines are the least busy. And it's hard to do that when you have 5 kids.
5 children. We have 5 children.
Anyway, back to the indictment.
I thought so there was better than the indictment, but whatever.
I know, but there was also...
Shh, get back to the indictment.
Do you remember the thing about the Dominion voting machines? How they were talking about the voting machines were flipping votes and people were hacking into the voting machines and stuff like that. Well, it turns out they did find that some people hacked into the voting machines. Mm-hmm. And the people they found that hacked into the voting machines were Sidney Powell.
Oh.
And Trump's lawyers.
Oh.
They didn't hack into it. They illegally obtained access to it and copied data from it and stole the data from it.
Seems like something a criminal would do.
Yeah, seems like that kind of thing. So, the defendants would be permitted to voluntarily surrender by noon on August 25th. So we've got about a week and a half for that. She also said she plans to seek a trial date within 6 months, and she intends to try the defendants collectively. I ain't a law talking guy, but there's probably a significance to trying them collectively instead of individually. Then the indictment bookends a remarkable crush of criminal cases, 4 cases in 5 months, each in a different city. That would be daunting for everyone, or for anyone, never mind someone like Trump who is simultaneously balancing the roles of criminal defendant and presidential candidate. Which this is where I love the judge from the DC case, the DC indictment, who, like when Trump was demanding to be allowed to talk about trial details and evidence details or whatever in order to effectively run his political campaign, she was just like, well, you know what? You're being charged with crimes. So the administration of justice is going to have to come before your presidential bid. Because, like, that's how it would work with anyone else. Why would you be different?
True story. True story.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that doesn't take into consideration the 3 civil cases. Apparently there are civil cases as well. I knew about the rape one, that he was found liable for having raped a woman.
What? I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but
yeah, no, that's there were I think it was 26 sexual assault allegations against him, and this was like back in 2016 when he was running for president initially. And we're like, hey, there's 26 sexual assault allegations against this guy who is on tape saying, I just grab women by the pussy. They just let you do that when you force yourselves on them. And then the people that supported him were like, there's no proof that he sexually assaulted people. And yeah, you know, the talk where he says that he likes to sexually assault people, that was just locker room talk.
And that's the problem.
Like, what the fuck is locker room talk anyway? I have never talked like that with anyone.
You're not a sports guy.
Well, okay.
So you've never been in the locker room.
I have too. I would hide in the corner and get changed behind my towel because locker rooms are weird. Why should I be expected to get naked in front of other people? Like, everybody's worried about like trans women in women's locker rooms, so like a woman's being forced to change in front of a guy with a penis. How about we just give private stalls to everyone, because getting changed in a group is a weird thing to do.
Yeah, I don't get changed in groups.
Rosina Keller just sent $19.99 through PayPal. Says, get charged with crimes as a lawyer, set up a GoFundMe.
Like, I feel like if you're a lawyer, you should be able to pay for your own lawyer fees, or just represent yourself. I don't really care, but
no, you should never represent yourself, even if you're a lawyer.
I don't care what criminal lawyers do. They just shouldn't be asking for money.
VR is not a nudist, it seems. Didn't I advocate for that in yesterday's stream, that we should all just be nudists?
Yes.
So sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not.
Yeah, but it's different knowing you're going to a nudist event space or whatever, and choosing to get naked. If I was going to
a nude beach, I would probably still be super uncomfortable, but it's like, I know that the kind of people who go to nude beaches are not going to be judging my body.
But even so, it's a choice that you are making to go to this place and to be naked. Whereas,
if I'm just getting changed I want to go swimming. I don't want to get naked with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're then forced to get naked in front of people so that you can go swimming. There's a difference.
Oh, Leah Collinwood says, greetings, fellow Ontarionian. Sure, we'll go with that. First time catching a stream live. Well, welcome.
Welcome. This is not the usual.
Are you from Collingwood, judging by, or is your last name just happen to be Collinwood, and you're from Ontario?
She can't give away her identity, or they can't give away their identity.
I'm just going by information that has been made publicly available in the last 10 seconds.
Yes, but you're also making an assumption on that information and asking for clarity.
Which they don't have to give.
No, they don't.
I just thought, like, last name Collingwood, are they from Collingwood? Because I know they're from Ontario, and Collingwood is in Ontario. You don't have to tell me if you're from Collingwood if you don't want to. I'm from Fort Erie. It's a tiny little town.
Yeah, but we got a Starbucks now, so...
Yeah, we do have a Starbucks now.
We got a Starbucks.
And apparently, she's okay with... I'm sorry, I'm saying she, but they... Leah sounds like a female name to me, so I'm assuming she, but I'll just say they.
They.
But they subscribed. So
Yay,
apparently they don't mind me doxing them.
Thank you for subscribing to this channel.
I'm supposed to be reading stories, news stories.
Stories.
So Trump and his allies, who have characterized this investigation as politically motivated, immediately seized on the apparent error. Oh, yeah, okay. So what happened was on the day when the indictment dropped, before the grand jury... sorry, I have to... So Rosina Keller says just one Starbucks. Yes, we have just one Starbucks. We have
three Tim Hortons.
Three Tim Hortons, 4 depending on how you count them, because the one at the duty free might count. Not really.
No, I don't count that one.
Nobody from Fort Erie would go to the duty free one. That's the one you go to on your way to the States.
Yeah, 3 Tim Hortons.
So 3 actual Tim Hortons.
And 10 cannabis stores?
No, 5.
Oh, it's only 5?
5 dispensaries.
Oh.
So, yeah. Chad Stewart is now a member. I'm getting members in this one.
2, 3.
Welcome, Chad Stewart. You now get access to the rhino thingies.
Rhino emojis. Ding!
I didn't make any of the positive emojis though. Like, so they're baffled.
I feel like that says something. We should talk about it.
No, it was. I went from top to bottom. I didn't know it was going to cut me off when I got to 4, so I was just like adding them in order that they appeared in the folder.
So it's not a reflection of how you feel.
No. How I feel is after I did that, I was like, I should go back and make sure the tech support one is one of the first ones, because that's the one that you guys are going to need most often, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, 5. We have more dispensaries than Starbucks. Yeah. We have more dispensaries than Starbucks plus Tim Hortons in the town that I live in. Oh, Vaulus. Welcome, Vaulus. Getting lots of new members on this one. Thanks, guys. I appreciate that.
I feel like, I don't know, remember back in the way, you don't remember, but back in the way day when they had like the radio stations and it was live and they'd have like the women in the corner to like back up. And
Howard Stern?
No.
Oh, that was different women in the corner.
Yes, like, no. Like
forum.
Way back before we were born type of time. And they'd have the women that would just sing their little song in the corner while the men read.
Good morning, Vietnam!
Vietnam!
That time?
No, way back before that.
Was that Robin Williams?
Yes.
Okay.
Ugh.
Or, if we go to Quantum Leap, we have Scott Bakula. Good morning, Peoria!
Please read your article.
Please read my... Yeah, okay. Adam Broughton says, where I live, there's 1 Starbucks, 8 to 10 Tim Hortons, and I don't know how many dispensaries. Quite a few. Suris' new avatar is very realistic. Okay, so yeah. On the Georgia indictment, there was a page went live before it was supposed to that outlined some of the charges.
No way.
And then they took it down until the indictment went up, and so now the Republicans are all like, oh, it went live before the grand jury voted to indict, therefore it was rigged. They knew they were going to indict before the grand jury voted on it. It's like, no, like, I don't know. Volus is correcting me. Vol is in call, so Volus. But like, I don't work in tech. I don't know the back end of how they're doing this stuff, but I do know enough about, like, I went to college for computer programming for a couple years. I know the basics. I can design a website. I can schedule things to go live at certain times or whatever. But like, so the way that I read this when it happened was that they probably had 2 versions of the website ready to go live. One is like, if they vote to indict, here's what we're going to publish. If they vote to not indict, this is the one we're going to publish. Because like, that's the kind of thing you want to be on top of. You want to be able to release it as soon as it's available. So you get the stuff ready beforehand. And like newspapers back in the day, they like, if there was a sporting event, they would have 2 articles written, and depending on which team won, they would publish the appropriate article. Same idea. And so whoever designed the website probably just hit save and publish instead of just save. And so it got published. And then they took it down because it's not public knowledge yet. They haven't even voted on it yet. So we're just gonna... Like, this is what I suspect happened. They haven't commented on it. I feel like they should... Like, if this is what happened, they should probably just come out and say it. But then the Republicans are just going to be like, oh, yeah, right, as if. Because the Republicans don't fucking care about the truth. It doesn't matter, but anyway.
They can't handle the
That's what this is
truth.
about. It says Trump and his allies who have characterized the investigation as politically motivated immediately seized on the apparent error to claim that the process was rigged. Trump's campaign aimed to fundraise off of it. So immediately they started sending out emails being like, see, look, they said they were going to indict me before they even voted to indict me. Give me money. Gimme, gimme, gimme.
I'm bored.
Dennis Beecher says it was a grand jury indictment. They're all rigged. That's the point of grand juries, to give them the only evidence that will determine the results the prosecutors want. To a point, but like, if you read the indictments, like, they have commented on it, clerk's error. Okay, this article says that they didn't comment on it. So I was just going by this article. This has been a crazy news cycle. I have like taken in stories and then I've changed my mind about which stories I want to cover like 5-6 times in this. So many different stories have dropped. So yeah, like I haven't been able to keep up with this, and like it's been nuts. Oh yeah, did you see the rigor comments that popped up today? Who was that? Just today? That feels it's been such a weird news cycle. I feel like that was trending yesterday or the day before even. Because Trump sent out a post on his Truth Social where he was calling the people that did this riggers because they rigged it. And it's like, his autocorrect tried to change that away from riggers to something else that he probably types quite frequently.
I had a question. Oh, has anybody signed up for his True.dat, whatever it
Truth
is?
Social?
Yeah, that thing.
I signed up for it. I log in like once a month. Okay, progress only didn't run across it until this morning. But yeah, no, there's... Rigger just sounds like a sailor. Yeah, that is, as I'm saying it out loud, like in my head, it's just like, ooh, that's so close to the N-word. I don't want to say it. But like as I'm saying it out loud, no, that sounds like someone who works on the rigging of a sailboat.
I was thinking like the oil things.
The oil rig, yeah. There you go. So there's lots of context that could be appropriate in. None of them are the one that Trump used it in. Anyway, yeah. That's pretty much it. Like, I've read this indictment. It wasn't as fun to read as the Jack Smith indictment. It was very repetitive. It's like every single point ended with these actions overtly furthered, or were overtly to further the purposes of the conspiracy. So, like, it said that several times. It was fun to read it, like, reiterating over and over again. Like, despite the fact that Trump lost the 2020 election. It just said that over and over and over again. So it was fun to read that.
Can we talk about fun conspiracies, like how we're in the Matrix?
Matthew Gibbons says the only Twitter clone I joined is Threads, and that's only because I already have Instagram, so I might as well. I'm on Threads. You can follow me on Threads at Vice Rhino. I even remember to use it occasionally. I mean, they say they're working on a web interface. When they do that, I'll probably use it more often. I might even use it more than Twitter. But right now I have to use like an Android emulator on my computer in order to use it like while I'm working or whatever. So it's just more difficult to access because I don't use it on my phone very often.
You're so serious on this stream.
Yeah, this is the serious stream.
Sorry.
Yeah. The last stream she was on with me, I spent the entire time just making hand job jokes and trying to turn a clearly depressed lady's sad letter about how she couldn't get over her ex-husband. I kept trying to turn that into hand job jokes. So, like,
You failed.
she's not used to this.
No. You're so serious.
I did fail because it was depressing.
You're so
That
serious.
lady needs therapy. Kashi Alcuin says, what's Thread? Well, Threads is basically Facebook's version of Twitter. So you go to threads.net, I think it is. Here, let's see. Threads.net. And you get a QR code telling you to download the app. Oh, but you can play with the background, though. It's like this 3D thing that...
Oh, that's kind of cool.
...is not working because my computer doesn't want to... Let's see. I'm not using all that many resources, so I don't know why it's being so choppy. But yeah, it's a 3D thing you can play with a bit. Anyway, shall we read some tweets? The reason we're really here.
Oh, tweets already? Let's go.
Tweet time.
Tweet.
They just tell you to get the app. Yeah, I would like them to actually have a web interface, because then I might actually use it more. Tweets. We're going to start with Bill Maher. Oh, you don't know who Bill Maher is, do you?
Excuse me?
You do know who Bill Maher is?
I love Bill Maher.
You love Bill Maher?
Yes. Am I not going to love him anymore?
Oh, you haven't been following him for the last, 5 years.
No, I have not. Oh, you're going to ruin somebody else for me?
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's not someone you want to love anymore.
What'd he do?
Lots. I'm sorry. Anyway, this was in the middle of a very long screed that he wrote about the Barbie movie.
Okay.
So this is the one that I pulled because I've already talked to you about this one. He says, I know. How could I know about the patriarchy? I am a man. That argument is so old and silly. Of course, none of us can know exactly what others go through in life, but I can see the world around me, and I can read data. The real Mattel board is a pretty close mirror of the country, where 45% of the 449 board seats filled last year in Fortune 500 companies were women. Truth is, I'm not the one who's out of step. I'm living in the year we're living in. And then Barbie was fun. I enjoyed it. So I already talked to you about this. I talked about how, this is actually worse than I originally read it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to, originally, the way I read this is that of the Fortune 500 companies, 45% of board seats are women.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
45, that's what I told you, because that's how I read it. And so I looked up the number, and of all board seats in all of North American companies in total, it's more like 28% women.
Okay.
So what that said to me was that companies who are willing to be more diverse on their boards are more likely to be more successful, thereby making their way onto the Fortune 500 list. Mm-hmm. But upon rereading this before Twit tweets tonight, what he's actually saying is it's not that 45% of the board seats of Fortune 500 companies are women. It's 45% of the seats that were filled last year are women.
Oh, yes.
So this isn't even saying 45% of the seats are women. Fortune 5, I didn't actually look into this. It was just oh shit, I misread that. So it could still be that the Fortune 500 companies, 28% are women, because that's the national average. So I don't know how much that deviates from it. But yeah, basically, best case scenario here, what this says is that diversity makes companies more successful. Mm-hmm. Which is great. But he's complaining about this movie that was because one of his things was oh, well, in the Barbie movie, they actually showed the Mattel board and it was all men. It's okay, you do realize it's fiction, right? They don't have to accurately portray reality in a movie about a toy.
But maybe that was their point.
Yeah.
By showing all men on the board. I don't know. I really want to know what Bill Maher did, so you need to, yeah. Just one thing.
He's been anti-vax.
Really?
He's anti-trans. Okay, I don't necessarily know that he's anti-trans, but he has said things that are very much in line with the anti-trans talking points. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. He just has questions about trans women in sports, sort of thing. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Which, realistically, the trans women in sports is often it's a more nuanced discussion than either side really wants it to be. The people that are pro trans women in sports is no, all trans women should be able to compete in all sports, whereas the people who are against are no trans women should be able to compete in any sports. Whereas when you actually dig into the data, it's it depends on the sport, it depends on the individual person who is trans and what they're there's so many variables here. It's such a nuanced thing, and I'm not into sports, so I don't have the patience to read up on it. My general thing is whatever, let them fucking compete. I don't fucking care. A trans woman broke a bunch of records in weightlifting recently, and people are freaking out because oh, this trans woman broke a bunch of records. It's like, okay, so what you're telling me is that someone who is on, like, literally on performance inhibiting drugs was able to break a bunch of records.
Yeah, if you frame it like that, very different.
When you are a trans woman, you are on performance inhibiting drugs, that, like, literally by definition. And since a cis woman can beat a cis man at a lot of these things, I don't feel like a trans woman has an unfair advantage.
No.
Generally speaking. Like I said, there is more nuance to it than that, but, like, I don't care about the nuance because I don't care about sports.
No, you know what the problem is? So the trans woman broke the records in the women's category, but what that's going to end up looking like in men's heads is that we're going to be beat by a trans woman, and that's not acceptable.
No, the trans woman beat it in the women's category.
I know, but if the trans woman, regardless of what category she's in, outlifts the man...
No, she outlifted the other women.
You're not listening to me.
I don't know what the men's records... I didn't look
But my point is, if as a woman, she outlifts a man, it diminishes their experience in their head. Because they've been outperformed.
Men are afraid of being outperformed by women. The whole reason sports are divided by gender in the first place, if you go back and look at the history of it, is because women started beating, like, cis women started beating cis men at the sports. And that's when they started the divide.
And that's my point.
It has to be men's and women's.
And that's my point.
That's ultimately where it all comes from. So, like, fuck this whole thing. Fuck this whole discussion. Fennec says you're given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. This is okay. So this is actually a prime example of why I've decided to ignore the chat in my other stream with you, because when I'm managing this many things, like I was only like half listening to what you were saying, so I was kind of missing some of it. So
I'm so hurt.
It's not about hurt. It's about I can only concentrate on so many things at a time. Like, I do have ADHD, which helps me concentrate on multiple things at a time, but it also means that I'm only... Like, I'm not giving my best to everything at the same time? If that makes sense?
Hi, baby. Okay, get back to your chat, because they actually have questions about this stuff, and I don't know.
Okay.
Well, anyway, they're telling me how horrible Bill Maher is.
Bill Maher was being an idiot. Again. And I'm sorry that I ruined him for you. Fennec says apologize. I am sorry. I apologize.
I'm never going to be able to like watch TV or anything ever again because you ruin everybody for me.
I do. I really do. Yeah.
Oh.
And then even when I'm not ruining the people, I'm ruining the show because, like, oh, that's not scientifically plausible.
Oh, I can deal with that.
Wait, what was it we were watching the other day? Was it Star Trek?
Probably.
That it was like you just like I was criticizing everything they were doing, and you like turned to me and were like, "Do you actually like this show?" I'm like, yeah, I love this show. It's great.
It was Star Trek.
It was Star Trek. It was Strange New Worlds. Mm-hmm. Which episode was it?
I don't know.
It was an episode. Yeah, it was a fun episode, but there was so much that was like, okay, this is a little bit past what you know. Like, there's always a bit of suspension of disbelief, but like, this is past what the normal threshold for that is. Like, come on, really? And then she's like, do you really like this show? I'm like, yeah, I love it. It's fantastic.
And he talks to our children like this too.
Yes. Stratahawk says we nitpick what we love. Absolutely. Ben Shapiro says, whatever you think of the Trump indictments, one thing is for certain. The glass has now been broken over and over again. Political opponents can be targeted by legal enemies. Running for office now carries the legal risk of going to jail on all sides.
Good.
So it's like, yeah, no, if you commit crimes while you're in office or running for office, then yes, that should carry a risk of going to jail.
If you commit crimes, period, you should run the risk of going to jail.
Well, there are some crimes that, like, possession of marijuana is still a crime in a lot of states.
Yes. I never said some laws shouldn't be changed, but
that's what I mean, is like possession of marijuana as a crime, like that should not be one that carries the risk of jail. Because,
no, but that should never carry the risk of jail.
Something that literally ruins people's lives for nothing. Like, she is on marijuana right now.
What? Why are you giving away my secrets?
like that's not like it's legal here. Just for the record, it's legal here. But like,
it's legal.
If she did that across the, well, no, New York State is legal.
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's legal in New York. I don't know.
I almost feel, though, if you're running for office, you should be held to a higher standard.
Absolutely.
So, yes, if someone in office... I am speaking.
Yes.
If someone in office gets caught with marijuana, they should have to go to jail. Or you work on changing that law. One of the two things needs to happen in that point. But if you're...
Okay. Fennec is pointing out that the criminalization of marijuana has racist origins. Absolutely it does. Oh, it's not legal in New York? Wow. I thought New York was more progressive than that. So yeah, if you went across the border with the stuff that you use on a fairly regular basis, you could go to jail for that. But like, it's just a thing that like it helps you. Like, okay, I'm drinking beer right now. Alcohol is objectively worse for you than marijuana edibles are. Smoking, that's a bit debatable because putting smoke in your lungs, like regardless of the chemical composition of the smoke in your lungs is a bad thing. Just in general. But like, as far as long-term health effects, like there's no question alcohol is worse for you than marijuana. I'm sitting here drinking alcohol on stream. YouTube is fine with that. But if she ate an edible while we were live on stream, YouTube would want to demonetize that because that's drug content.
What? Bull crap.
Yeah. So, but yeah,
you
there
all
are people
saw
that go to jail
nothing.
For that. Okay, yeah, Chad Stewart says it's still not legal federally. Yeah, I know. It should be, though. It's like I said, alcohol is objectively worse for you than marijuana. So if alcohol is legal, why should marijuana be illegal?
I agree.
No, what I'm saying is we should go back to prohibition.
No. We all need to escape this reality sometimes.
Scott Delahunt says marijuana is probably better to smoke than tobacco. Yes, but like just smoke itself is a carcinogen. So like, yeah, it like yes in the sense that if you're like, especially if you're rolling your own joints, it's literally just the plant stuff, whereas cigarettes have the tar and the like whatever other shit that they put in them that is way worse for you than just the straight up tobacco plant. Mm-hmm. But like if you compare apples to apples, if you just dry out the tobacco plant and dry out the marijuana plant and smoke that, they're probably about equivalent, and that is both are bad for you. Because it's smoke in your lungs. You're not supposed to have smoke in your lungs. You're supposed to have an oxygen-nitrogen mixture.
You know I love the breath.
Anything that burns is bad inside your lungs. It's a part per million counts. Yeah. Exactly. Vice Rhino just wants to be a rub runner. No, I don't. I'd have to like talk to people for that. What are you, crazy?
You'd be like the chemist trying to like make the perfect batch.
And then I'd never sell it because I'd never be happy with what I made. Because it's got to be perfect. Anyway, Cernovich says, so this is the start of the Republicans minimizing crime stuff. At worst, Trump did what they did. He denied election results. So did Clinton, Abrams, and every Democrat. He held an event that got out of control. Even that was trivial compared to the summer riots. It's a rigged system. Two classes of people can't be denied now. Okay, yeah, no, there are absolutely two classes of system. If Trump was not a rich white man, he would have been in prison long ago for what he did.
I wasn't quite understanding what they were trying to say there.
So yes, it is a two-class system. Trump has been given way too much leniency. But like, you know, Clinton, Abrams, and a lot of Democrats did deny that the 2016 election was legitimate because there was legitimate concern, and it has been confirmed that Russia attempted to interfere in the 2016 election, and that they succeeded. Now, the problem is, so it's not that the election itself was illegitimate. It's not that Trump lost the election, although he lost the popular vote. That's the electoral college thing, which, like, what the fuck are you guys even doing with that shit?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, let's make sure that land has an equal, like, empty land has an equal say to millions of people in New York City. That's messed up. But that aside, like, yeah, there absolutely was election interference in the 2016 election from Russia. Absolutely, Russia got what they want from doing their interference. But as far as, like, votes counted, as in, like, American citizens voted for who they thought should be president, Trump won that election. Now, he lost the popular vote, which means more people voted for Hillary than voted for Trump.
Why do they even have that? I mean, I know why they have that stupid electoral college, but, like, why?
In theory, it's actually, no, in theory, it was specifically to prevent someone like Trump from ever becoming president. Because the idea was, if the people could vote for some populist who appealed to their base instincts, but then the more sophisticated people that would do the electoral college would be like, oh yeah, the people voted for this person who's clearly corrupt but is just playing off their emotions, so we're going to be unfaithful electors and vote for the, you know, person who actually should be president there. So, like, the electoral college was implemented specifically to prevent someone like Trump from becoming president.
So they didn't ever see it going the other way?
Yeah, no, it didn't actually do its job.
Like, it seems really simple that if it could go in your favor one way, it could still go in the other person's favor. Under the rules of how elections work in the States in 2016, Trump won. Unequivocally, that is what happened. Why did he win? Because, like, Russian interference played a big part in that. Like, we can question, like, why he won, how legitimate was the, like stuff like that can happen. But but the thing, though, is that any of these people who challenged that election, they did so legally. They did so in the courts. And when they lost their court cases, they let it go. Let it go.
Trump challenged the election, before the election even happened, he was like, if I win, I'm going to claim that I won anyway. And then I'm going to push that narrative and hopefully be able to swing things so that I can actually win. And then he caused an actual insurrection. And then this person's talking about the summer riots. It's like, the summer riots were not like Democrats getting up and being like, hey, Trump shouldn't be our president, so riot! Whereas January 6th, Trump literally was like, go to the Capitol, we need to fight, fight, fight! Mike Pence was a coward, he needs to pay the price, or whatever. Like he was clearly inciting them to that.
It is clear. And
if you add on to this the fact that, like, beforehand, like, Pence had told him flat out, no, I'm not going along with your stupid plan. He told him flat out. And Trump tweeted publicly, like, Mike Pence is fully on board with my stupid plan. Obviously, he didn't phrase it that way, but...
I really imagined he did.
Yeah, so Vala says, for Trump, it's always, I win or it's rigged. Absolutely. That's the thing now. Like, with the Republicans now, it's if the Republicans don't win the election, it was a rigged election. That's their whole thing now.
Ugh. My 5-year-old knows better than this.
Does he, though?
Yeah. When he wants to.
Sometimes he does. But yeah, Trump is a petulant child. Oh yeah, this is just a meme that I thought was funny. So, when drugs came into our schools, God went out.
Good.
So it says God wasn't supposed to be in there in the first place. So thanks, drugs.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Scott Dillon says Heidi's 5-year-old is more mature than the current GOP.
Yeah.
Actually, yes. Like, not even joking. Like, he can be a very thoughtful kid when he wants to be, and he can figure things out. The GOP doesn't seem to be able to do that. Heather Kuhn sent $5, says, remember when the Constitution was adopted, the popular vote wasn't a thing? No, I don't remember that. How old do you think I am? Sorry.
Oh.
Also, I am Canadian for what it's worth, so, like, there are some things that I'm just unaware of. Adam Broughton for another $5 says, I had a friend tell me he thinks our last election wasn't legit, as in Trudeau cheated. The illness is catching. Yeah, no, like, Canadian elections are... So, the American system and the Canadian system each have their pros and cons. In the Canadian system, you don't actually vote for who you want to be prime minister. You just vote for who you want your local representative to be, and then whichever party has the most local representatives win their respective elections, their leader is the prime minister. And so what that ends up happening is there's a lot more strategic voting going on. Like in Canada, third parties are much more viable. So, for instance, I will vote for the NDP in provincial elections, but I will vote Liberal for the federal elections, or vice versa. I'm not sure. I have to look it up every time because we don't have elections very frequently here. But and that's because in one of them, 100% of the time in the district that I'm in, the riding that I'm in, it goes either conservative or liberal. So if I vote for the NDP, that's basically throwing my vote away, and there's one less vote against the conservatives. But for the other election, it can flip between liberal, conservative, or NDP will win. I'm pretty sure it's provincial. I have to look up Wayne Gates, whether he's provincial or federal.
He's
provincial? Yeah. Okay. Now you're just going to make me look it up live.
The Fort Erie guy?
Gates. No, he's not the Fort Erie guy.
Who's the Fort Erie?
Member of provincial parliament, so it is provincial. So in my riding for provincial election, it could go either conservative, liberal, or NDP. NDP is the party that, generally speaking, more like aligns more closely with my values. So both federally and provincially, NDP is the one that I would prefer be in charge. So when it comes to provincial, when the NDP actually has a chance of winning, I vote NDP. So you get situations like that in Canada where it's like, I don't actually, like, I've never voted for Justin Trudeau because he's not in my riding. I just vote for the federal member of parliament who I think will do a better job for my riding. And the one that actually has a chance of winning happens to be Liberal, which means that, you know, if he wins, which they didn't this time, it was Conservatives, but, like, I guess technically that would go towards a vote for the Liberal. So, like, there are some downfalls of the system in that, like, yeah, I'm not terribly pleased with Justin Trudeau being the head of the Liberal Party. I would prefer someone else. Like, the nepotism thing doesn't sit well with me.
The nepotism thing?
Because he's Pierre Elliott Trudeau's son.
Yeah, no, I know that, but...
He wasn't really qualified for the job.
No?
No. And he hasn't done as bad a job as I feared when he first got in. He's been decent. He hasn't been good, but he's been decent.
I can never find what I'm looking for.
And I still haven't found any Pokemon.
Really? I used to play Pokemon Go.
We need to watch the Weird Al movie. Harry Potter plays Weird Al.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Daniel Radcliffe.
Yeah, I know who he is.
I know. I was for the audience. Is Lord of Uzcolex is Vice the leader of the Rhinos and Heidi of the Marijuana Party? Sure, why not? Charlie Kirk says the only way this stops is if we start indicting criminal Democrats. There's plenty to choose from. Will a single DA or Attorney General step up? To which I say, why would we want it to stop? Any politician who's a criminal should be indicted for being a criminal.
Truth.
Like, these people, it drives me nuts. They're just like... Stratahawk says, was it for the audience? We know who Harry Potter is. But, like... No, so these Republicans, it's crazy to me. They're all just like, oh, do you want us to start coming after criminal Democrats? I mean, like,
yes.
Yeah, if they're actually criminals, yes.
Please.
Hold them to account. Like, what was his name? The comedian guy, Al Franken. Do you remember Al Franken? He was a comedian who went into politics. He was a Democrat, and he was fantastic. But then there was a scandal about like him taking a picture, like pretending to grab a sleeping woman's boobs. Like he didn't actually grab them, but like he was grabbing at them, and his picture was taken with that. And when that came out, and the woman who was in the picture was like, that made me uncomfortable when that picture was taken, he resigned. Because the Democrats actually hold their own to account. Be like, hey, no, this guy makes us look bad, so let's kick him out. Now, of course, it's politics, so there's always like a degree of like, they're all kind of corrupt, but like when you get caught, they kick you out, sort of thing, rather than just...
But why does there have to be an element of whatever the word
like when the public knows that you're corrupt, then we have to kick you out. But if they don't know, it's fine.
Why does there have to be an element of corruption if you're a government official? Why?
Like, no, you should be held to a higher standard if you're in the government. And especially because, like, a lot of times Republicans act as though it's Donald Trump's right to be president. It's like, no, the election is a job application.
True.
If you are going into a job interview and your employer is just like, hey, I received a bunch of reports from a bunch of women saying you sexually assaulted them, it doesn't have to be proven in a court of law that you actually sexually assaulted the women. They can just be like, yeah, I'm not comfortable hiring a guy who has 26 women alleging that he sexually assaulted them. Like,
I've always thought there should be like a bare minimum for becoming president or a leader of a country. Like, there should be a bare minimum.
Here's my hot take. Any government position, you should not be able to gain wealth while working for the government. Doesn't matter what position. Supreme Court justice, congressperson, senator, president, doesn't matter. You should not be able to gain wealth while you're in that position. All of your assets frozen. You live in government housing. There's like, it can be not terrible housing, but it's not going to be a mansion somewhere. Like, freeze all your assets. You're not allowed to trade stocks. You're not allowed to own companies while you're in government. You're not allowed to have these interests. And like, going to the Supreme Court story that I skipped, one of the things that I was going to bring up there is like Clarence Thomas he's the Supreme Court justice that's taking all these bribes essentially from rich billionaires. He's on record as having said the job doesn't pay enough to do the job. And then he tried to follow that up with like, oh, but you do it for the integrity. But it's like, okay, yeah, you're saying that, but at the same time you're taking vacations paid for by billionaires who they might not have cases in front of you right now, but like there are decisions that are coming up that will affect his business. And you always vote in favor of the way that would make his business better. So that seems suspicious.
He's a Supreme Court justice?
He's a Supreme Court justice.
And the job doesn't pay enough?
It pays something like $200,000 a year. Which, like, I'm not saying that we should put all the government employees in poverty, but, like, it should be a hardship to work for the government. It should not be lucrative. Because then you would get people that actually want to make the country better.
Right. I agree with the assets thing and not making money outside of like your salary. I believe they should be compensated, not overly compensated, but compensated.
Yeah, like the president gets a salary of $400,000 a year. Yeah. That is a big salary.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's adequate for the job of president.
Right. But and a Supreme Court
judge. As a president,
judge,
you should also not be allowed to own other companies. You should not be allowed to trade stocks.
Right.
You should not be allowed to
But like at $200,000 a year, how is that not livable?
It's perfectly livable.
I know, but that was his comment.
Yeah, no, he wasn't saying that it wasn't livable. He was saying it's not worth doing the job for that. Because it's too hard of a job for that. Because, like, if you think about $200,000 a year, if you've gone to law school, if you've done if you've jumped through all the hoops that qualify you to be a Supreme Court justice, in theory, I mean, like, there's actually no legal qualifications. Anyone can be nominated to the Supreme Court as long as the Senate votes for them. But, like, when Brett Kavanaugh was being confirmed to the Supreme Court, that was the whole thing. Like, there were allegations against him.
I remember
there
all
was
that.
all sorts of shit against Brett Kavanaugh, and they were treating it like, the president nominated him, so he has the right to be the Supreme Court justice. No, it's a fucking job interview. You don't have the right. You have to earn that position. You have to explain why you should be the judge. You shouldn't. It should not just be assumed that because the president said, I want this guy to be a judge, that you automatically get to be a judge. That's the whole point of the confirmation process, is that they can say, hey, explain to us why we should confirm you as a judge. And then when they say, oh, you've got accusations of sexual assault against you, maybe we can find someone who doesn't have that, because there's lots of people in the country that don't have that. Lots of them are qualified to be on the Supreme Court and don't have that. So, like, it doesn't even need to be proven in a court of law. Just be like, no, we don't want that on the Supreme Court. We don't even want the appearance of that on the Supreme Court. So, no, you don't get this job that would be a privilege. Like, no.
But I don't like.
Drew Harrison says Supreme Court justices don't pay enough, but we can't even get $30,000 a year federal minimum wage. Like, yeah. Justice says make KBJ Chief Justice. Absolutely, I'm in favor of that. That's Ketanji Brown Jackson, who is
Ketanji.
She is fucking fantastic, and she's probably the most qualified judge on the court right now. And people were calling her qualifications into question, probably because she's a black woman.
Of course, why wouldn't they?
She's way more qualified than Clarence Thomas or what's his face, Kavanaugh.
Is Clarence Thomas the black one?
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Kevin Sorbo!
Yay!
Says we couldn't get...
Sorry. Blah, 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 blah.
Oh, you didn't hear that.
I can't hear it.
That was her going... Blah, 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 blah.
No, I was doing the Xena Warrior Princess.
Okay.
Because they would come on, like, back to back.
Yeah, I know. I used to watch them, too. So Kevin Sorbo says we couldn't get $10 billion for a border wall, but we have $100+ billion to send to Ukraine. Tell me how that isn't money laundering. Well, simple. It doesn't fit the definition of money laundering. Like, does he not know what money laundering is? That's like where you are making income from an illegal source, so you have to funnel it through a legitimate looking business to make it look legal. Like, there's a money laundering operation probably going on right around the corner from us at that convenience store that's never stocked up. Like, they never have anything to sell. Like, they're always empty. But like,
I love how you're like saying this on your live stream, and then like we're gonna have knocks at the door. And heard you talk about my convenience store.
So the last business I specifically called out on my live stream was the animal sanctuary thing that got shut down for not having adequate controls or whatever. But like, my son had his finger bitten by a camel at that place, and they ended up getting shut down. But like, after my son had his finger bitten by a camel, but before they got shut down, I noticed that like the owner of the place was like commenting on my YouTube channel, talking about her place and trying to like convince me to like come to it and visit and stuff. I'm just like, oh, you're a fan. It hurts that I don't like your place because you clearly don't have adequate controls. Because like, the day that my son got his finger bitten by a camel was the same day another little girl got attacked by a like, I forget what the animal was. It was like some kind of big cat, like a mountain lion type of thing. And a little girl got attacked by it on the same day, and we were literally standing right there. And yeah, so me being I have mixed feelings about how I reacted to that, because like, there's the like big manly man in me wants to be like, oh yeah, I should have rushed forward to like protect the little girl who was being attacked by the big cat thing. But then like, the father in me was like, I've got 3 kids of my own to protect her, and so I was like rushing my kids away from the thing. I'm like, no, let's leave. Like, that cat looks like it might get out soon, and you know, when it's done eating that little girl, it might come after you. But like, but yeah, no, I like, I don't know. That's one of those situations that like, how do you, like, you don't know how you're going to react until you're in that situation. And I hope to God you're never in a situation like that, because that's a fucking scary situation. Like, yeah, no, like, after I witnessed a little girl get attacked by a big cat, I was not about to shout out that person's animal sanctuary on my channel. Ugh. How do we even get on that? Oh yeah, the money laundering place around the corner. I'm
now just imagining like the little girl watching your stream and being like, you didn't even try to save me.
That was me. You were there and you didn't help me. Yeah, she
Stop telling personal stories is the moral of
in my defense, she did not get very hurt. And there were plenty of people that rushed immediately to her defense and like shoved but like, no, it was a bad day.
I still love you.
I protected my kids. Your kids are now part of that group.
I know.
So, like, would you not rather I protect your kids over the little girl?
I never said I wouldn't have done the same.
Because that little girl was also, like, teasing the animal. Like, she was, like, banging on the thing, and, like, she could see that it could get its arm out, and she was like, ah, you can't get me. Ah, you can't get me, sort of thing. And then, like, something
Where
fell
are
off
her parents?
I don't know. It was just a bad situation because like kids are assholes sometimes, so like kids do that sometimes.
Kids are fucking assholes.
And the parents absolutely should have stopped her from doing that. But the animal sanctuary place should have had an enclosure that the animals couldn't attack kids from.
Yeah.
So like, John says, "Oh sure, Rhino, blame the victim." Vice anti-hero. I'm going to protect my kids over other kids, okay? Like, I will feel bad about it later. Like, if that little girl had actually come to serious harm, I would have been racked with guilt because I was right there. But, like, I was just picturing, like, that thing's going to get out and my kids are nearby it now, so let's get my kids not so nearby it. So I was, like, getting them away while trying to not let them see that there was a girl being attacked by a cat. She was not seriously hurt. She survived, but it did cause the investigation that ended up with them being shut down. Yeah, Fennec says, where was that child's grown-ups? Exactly. It wasn't the kid's fault. It was the grown-ups' fault and the animal sanctuary's fault, but mostly the animal sanctuary's fault. And now I'm picturing the animal sanctuary person who was like still a fan of mine up until this point, watching the stream being like, "Aw." Hashtag sorry not sorry.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like
money laundering is when you take illegally obtained money and then you like report it as income for a business that has an air of legitimacy so that you can explain how you can afford the things that you can afford. So, yeah, no, the government earmarking funds to support a country that was invaded by Russia is not money laundering. That's just like transparency right there. Also, Congress dictates where the money goes, and Congress is controlled by Republicans right now, is it not?
Oh,
like it's exactly 50-50, I think. Or no, it's like 51-49. I don't know.
I never remember who has which.
I'm pretty sure, well, because the Speaker of the House, I think, Leader of the House, whatever, Kevin McCarthy, he's a Republican. So Republicans control Congress. So, if Congress keeps sending money to them, then like, it's not really, and also like, Russia has like consistently been the bad guy in every US versus whatever else story. Yep. Russia's always the bad guy. But suddenly, when Biden's in power and not giving Russia what they want, Russia's the good guy? When did that happen? When did the GOP start sucking Vladimir Putin's in 2016 is when that happened.
I didn't realize.
We can pinpoint that because there was election interference. And suddenly the whole Republican Party is pro-Russia all of a sudden since 2016. And yet they will deny that there was Russian interference. But they're all pro-Russia now.
My brain is still flipping back and forth between Die Hard 1 and Die Hard 3.
I haven't seen Die Hard 3.
It's really good. It's probably the better sequel to Die Hard 1 type of thing. But anyways.
Nobody will ever replace Alan Rickman for me.
Jeremy Irons.
Was he in Die Hard 3? Was he in Die Hard?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have to watch that one. Okay. Case Orbs again says, imagine playing Monopoly and you're clearly winning. You decide to pause and take a bathroom break. When you come back, your opponent claims they won and the game is over. If you try to question that, they yell at you and throw away the pieces. That's the 2020 election. It's like, no, let's reframe this to be still the Monopoly analogy, but with what actually happened. That'd be more like the game is over, but not through everybody except one player declaring bankruptcy. Is like however else the game can end, and it's just you count your money and whoever has the most money wins. So as people are counting, one person counts all his money faster, but then when the second person passes him, he immediately demands you stop counting your money now.
I have
so that
no
he can
fucking
win.
clue what you're saying.
Oh no, because this is about the 2020 election, and
Yeah.
Trump in the 2020 election, when they were counting votes, when the votes started counting, when more votes started coming in for Biden than for him, he'd be like, "No, we need to stop counting the votes now," so that he could win. But he only called for places to stop counting votes where he was still ahead.
He's really cute, isn't he?
The edibles are kicking in now, aren't they?
No, I always think you're cute.
Yeah, I know that, but you don't always just announce it randomly to the stream.
Because I do this all the time?
Yeah, once a week.
I'm just...
Monopoly was originally designed to make everyone miserable except the
say-
winner as an allegory. Yeah.
I love you. But yes, they might be kicking in.
Yeah, so no, like that's if you want to keep the Monopoly analogy, it's that the person who actually won was told by the person who lost, "Stop counting your money. That's not fair that you're continuing to count the money that you have in your pile." That's what Trump did in the 2020 election. Fennec says, "Rhino, take the damn compliment. Hush." I don't take compliments, okay?
I feel like you could literally have just used his same analogy and just been like, and the loser claimed that they were winning and threw all the pieces in the air.
Yeah. You're playing against a pigeon, and the pigeon just shat on the board and threw the pieces around and overturned the table and said, "I won."
Yeah. Well,
it's chess with that analogy usually, though.
oh. I'm just seeing a toddler in my head. When they start to lose and then like...
When your youngest starts to like realize which screen he is for Mario Kart and be like, "Oh, the 12 is actually bad."
I know. It was so cute because at first they were like,
"Yeah, I want to win."
12 because it's a big number. And now they've learned that it's not the best.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. My sweet boys.
Yeah. They'll figure it out eventually. TJ Mo says, "I don't care what the reason is. I'm sure the sports bra performance measuring device. Sure, the sports bra is a performance measuring device. A grown man should never be seen like this in public. Everyone around him should make him feel uncomfortable. Put a shirt on over it, dude. That's pathetic."
So, why is it? I don't know if he is or isn't Christian because I don't know, but it came to my head. Why is it that shaming is their first line of defense? Like, they have to shame people into believing what they believe. Why?
Because shame is the Christian thing. John73 John says, "It's kind of weird the way you two are positioned on the screen because we keep turning to talk to each other, but we're facing opposite." Yeah, that's because this was a last minute addition. I would have switched it if I had thought of that. And we are on the other part on our normal stream. Well, now I'm just talking to the back of your head.
Yeah, but they think I'm talking to you. So hi, babes.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works.
No.
But
Damn it.
yeah. No, if I had more time to prep this, we would be switched. But yeah, it was a last minute decision. Yeah, no, shame is their thing. But like, I don't know what that is. I don't think it's a sports bra. And I don't care, to be honest. Like, what the fuck ever. Wear what you want. And if it's something that makes you do better in your sports thing, then wear that. Sure, fine, whatever. Why does it matter? Why should I try and make him feel bad for wearing that thing? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't even know what it is. I don't know enough about sports to know what it is. Maybe it is a sports bra. Maybe he's a little jiggly up there, and he doesn't like being a little jiggly up there.
I mean...
So he puts a thing on to stop him from being a little jiggly up
I mean,
there.
looking at the abs,
Yeah, no, I don't think he's a little jiggly up there.
I'm just saying.
I am way more jiggly up there than this guy is.
I'm like, I don't think that's accurate, but we could pretend that maybe. Yeah, I have no idea, but
I'm gonna keep doing this for the rest of the stream.
boop, boop, boop.
There we go. Scott Delahunt says TJ Moe might be having feelings he can't explain seeing this peck. Maybe. That happens quite frequently. Die Hard 3 with Samuel L. Jackson. He's never seen. So that's not, so Samuel L. Jackson 3, not Jeremy Irons. Unless they're both in it.
They are.
Both of them?
Yes.
Okay, but do we have to watch 2 to understand 3?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
3 is actually like just a sequel of 1.
Okay. I'll take Jeremy Irons. He's pretty great.
I know, I really like him.
And Samuel L. Jackson, he's one of those guys that, like, he's great in specific things, but, like, in other things, like, nah, that's not really your wheelhouse. Like, Star Wars, he was just super awkward in Star Wars.
Yeah, no,
Like,
this is one of his...
everybody was super awkward in Star Wars. That might have been a direction problem rather than an acting problem.
No, he did a really good job in this role.
Okay. All right. Next up, Tim Poole says, does anyone think this will stop pro-Trump sentiment in this country? Well, for one, I've already seen a bunch of, like, super-duper pro-Trump I'm saying libs in TikTok because libs of TikTok is the account that I think it might have been, but I don't remember for sure, so I'm not going to say what account it was. But, like, there was a big conservative, like, always pro-Trump account that I saw a post from them recently being like, no, Trump just needs to drop out and just stop. So it's like, yes, this is stopping pro-Trump sentiment. But then he says the only path forward is escalation. Either Trump is a cult leader trying to overthrow the United States,
yes,
or Democrats are engaged in seditious conspiracies to steal power. Take your pick. Either way, it will be take your pick. Either way, it will be escalation. So, given that people were warning in 2016 that Trump was a cult leader who would try to overthrow the United States, I'm going to go ahead and go with that one.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, this is a false dichotomy, but one of the options is correct. Like, he leads a cult of personality. He did try to overthrow the United States. Now, in 2016, I thought that was a bit much. I was like, come on, like, it's not going to be that bad. I have changed my mind on that stance because Trump proved me wrong. I
never actually thought Trump was ever going to be elected.
Yeah, no, neither did I. So 2016 was also, like, that was just after I started my channel, and I had a bit more of the sympathetic anti-SJW leanings. And so, like, I actually, this video is not available on my channel anymore, but when Trump was elected, I posted a video that was, like, called An Open Letter to Feminists, and it was all about how, like, oh no, him winning was not because Hillary was a woman or whatever, and, like, I don't know, it was bad. It's like, the video still exists, but it's private now. You can't watch it.
Oh, you know I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I probably have to show it to you. My opinions have changed since then, needless to say, but yeah. Like, so that's the leanings I had, and I was like, yeah, no, this whole Trump is going to be the end of democracy thing, that's hyperbole. But, like, I don't know. Then he incited an insurrection, like an actual attempted coup.
Fool me once.
Says Trump made me a leftist. Trump didn't make me a leftist. Probably the thing that made me a leftist was the fact that the people on the right were just so clearly lying about everything. Because, like, a lot of it kind of made sense to me, but then, like, when looking at how the world works, it didn't track. So, like, for instance, people on the right will often say that, like, oh, the left doesn't know how to do humor. Because, like, they can't, they're always worried about being politically correct and not offending people and stuff like that. So they like, edgy humor is a thing that only the right can do because the left is too worried about political correctness. Meanwhile, I was listening to the God Awful Movies podcast where a running joke at the time was Eli Bosnick saying, I'm gonna dig up Phyllis Schlafly's corpse and fuck it. I'm just like, if that's not edgy humor, I don't know what is. And, like, he doesn't make that kind of jokes. Like, they have changed, like, they've progressed a little bit. They don't make the same, like, they don't make the same kind of jokes as they used to. They're still edgy, But like that was one of the things is like, well, these guys clearly lean to the left, and I'm being told by people on the right that the left can't do edgy humor, but like he also, every episode he busts out with, I want to fuck a child. And it's like, it's clearly a joke, and it's made to exaggerate how ridiculous certain things are or whatever, but it's like, you can't say that's not edgy humor. And so that kind of started me on the like, well, okay, well they're lying about that. What else are they maybe lying about?
You're just a truth seeker, that's all.
Well, so as it turns out, truth has a left-leaning bias. And it's funny because like I have an ad coming up for Ground News, and let's see if we can. There's just a bit of a pre-ad for you guys. Don't sign up yet. You got to sign up through my link. Oh no, I gotta. Fuck! I got to do it through the other browser profile where I'm actually logged in. But so if we go to the blind spot thing, so they analyze like which sources are lean right, which sources lean left, which sources are in the center, and one of the things you can do with Ground News is you go to the blind spot thing, so you can see news stories that are being covered by mostly the right or mostly the left, and see like what is the other side not covering. And so what's funny is that the blind spots for the right are all stuff like, pro-Trump website publishes names and addresses of Georgia's grand jury. Holy fuck. I probably would have chosen that as a news article for today. Okay, maybe I will. Let's go back to articles for a second. And I'm going to have to change this.
Boop-a-doop, boop-a-doop. Welcome to our commercial break.
Yeah, this is not... This is not the sponsor spot that they're paying for, and they probably hate that I'm even doing this. No, that's not the right window. See news blind spots. That's the one. Okay, so one of the things I noticed when I was doing my ad for this is that like if you look at like for the left, these are the things that the left is not covering. Bush heir says he wants to buy back Bud Light and make it great again. Beer company wants to go anti-woke. Who fucking cares? Trump's Georgia prosecutors not being truthful. I don't know what that is. I haven't read it. But like, let's see. Restaurants, bars, stock open on fentanyl opioid drug overdose. Biden's clear energy czar Podesta says Inflation Reduction Act is all about cutting carbon pollution. Is that not a good thing? Does the right think that pollution is good? Do they not like clean air?
No, they want to burn the oils. Burn
it's changed since I looked at it last, but like when I looked at it, it was like when Obama's ex leaked the letter that suggested that he is not entirely heterosexual, like he's attracted to men in some ways. And so like the right was like, Obama's gay, and the left wasn't covering it because who the fuck cares? But like that's the thing that I notice about this is that like the stories that the right is not covering are actual important stories, where the story that the left is not covering are things like Biden falsely claims he witnessed Pittsburgh bridge collapse. Like, who fucking cares?
Not me.
Like, okay, he said he saw something that he didn't actually see. What the fuck ever? Obama might be gay. Who fucking cares?
Not me. Not me.
But then you look at what the left is covering that the right is not covering. Wait, wasn't this one? Okay, whatever. Like, North Carolina legislature overrides governor's veto of bill limiting LGBTQ plus instruction in early grades, making it law. That's an important news item. Majority says Trump should be prosecuted on charges linked to the 2020 election, according to a survey. The right is covering that 0%. Kyle Rittenhouse starts Texas nonprofit fight for gun reform. That seems like not a Kyle Rittenhouse thing. I haven't actually read that article. I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to look at that. Ron DeSantis dodges. Okay, so like, yeah, there's some stuff on the left that is not really that important, but like, it's just, it stands out to me that the right covers things that like, it's who the fuck cares, whereas the left covers things that are actually important that the right ignores. What were you about to say?
I don't remember now. Damn it.
Well, Jemanian says, old man has bad memory. News at 11. I'm like, yeah, that's what the Republican Party has come to. Anyway. Yeah, no, I read that. So Wendell says, I've been reading the Bible for 30 years, cover to cover, and I've never spotted a single contradiction. The internal consistency of the Bible is truly miraculous and a testament to the scripture's true author, God. So, in one spot, it says that the Son shall not suffer for the iniquities of the Father. And in another spot, it says, I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, and visit the iniquities of the Father onto the sons for the third and fourth generation. That's a pretty overt contradiction.
Sorry, Wendell.
Yeah. And that's just the first one that came to mind. There's lots of them.
I'm sure
like
there are.
The last words of Jesus, how many women were at the tomb, whether or not there was a Roman guard at the tomb, how Judas died. Yeah, that's a big one. Who paid for... Okay, so how Judas died, do you know that one?
No.
So, according to... Okay, I get it mixed up which one is which, but according to one book of the Bible, Judas went into the temple and he's like, I regret selling Jesus out to you. And he throws the 30 pieces of silver back on the floor, and then he runs away and hangs himself. And then the chief priests use the 30 pieces of silver to buy a field, and it's a field to, like, for people to bury the dead. And they're like, well, we can't, like, we're going to name it the Field of Blood because it was bought with blood money that we gave to Judas, but he gave back to us.
Okay.
And then the other story is that Judas, with the money, bought a field, and then while he was walking through his field, he tripped and fell, and some sharp rocks gashed open his middle, and his guts spilled out, and he died there. And because of how he died there, it was called the Field of Blood. Those are the two different stories of how Judas died. The way they are harmonized is that people will say that, like, oh, well, Judas went and hanged himself, and then if you leave a hanging corpse in the sun, it'll bloat up a bit, and then, like, as the rope rotted or whatever, it snapped.
So there's CSI now.
And then his body fell onto the rocks, which then sliced him open, and his guts fell out. So that's what happened. But then it's like, okay, fine. Just, like, okay, God, the all-knowing, all-powerful author of everything, or author of creation, who wrote the Bible, didn't see fit to include a detail in one or the other story indicating that this is what happened. It just looks like a contradiction, but that's what actually happened. But who bought the field? Because in one, it explicitly says that Judas, with the reward for his wickedness, bought the field. The other one says the chief priests bought the field with the money that Judas threw back in the temple. Those two things are not reconcilable.
So he gave it to the priest to have him buy the plot of land.
So you're actually close to what the harmonization is. The harmonization for that one is that because it was blood money, they weren't allowed to put it in the temple coffers. And so technically, even though Judas threw the money on the, like, Judas threw the money back to them, it was no longer their money. It was Judas's money. So even though the priest bought the field, because it was still technically Judas's money, Judas bought the field. And it just happened that the field that they bought was the field that he hanged himself in. That's just coincidence.
Wouldn't it make more sense if Judas said, I want this plot of land? And no,
but he didn't say that. He threw the money back at them, being like, no, I don't want your money anymore because I shouldn't have sold him out to you. I regret it. Yeah, there's lots of contradictions in the Bible.
Sorry, Wendell.
And we're back to the beginning.
And we're back.
And it's 20 after 10, so we ran late. I actually did warn Suris that I was going to run late, and I was like, so should I find something to trim or what? And he never responded, and then I didn't hear from him until like 3 minutes before the stream, and then it was like no, you need to go take care of your stuff. Don't worry about me. It's fine. Shoo shoo.
Shoo shoo.
And that's why she's here. So,
Shoo fly, don't bother me.
So Judas is the hero in the Gospel of Judas. Well, yeah. So this is something that when I was a Christian I kind of struggled with, is that Judas is always painted as the bad guy, but like, if Judas hadn't sold out Jesus and Jesus hadn't been crucified, wouldn't all of Christianity just not be possible? Like, isn't the person who makes the crucifixion happen a fairly important part of the religion that relies on the crucifixion to have happened? So, like, why are we punishing this guy who made the entire religion possible?
That makes sense.
Yeah, no, I that never sat well with me, because, like, the Bible says that, like, it would have been better for him to have never been born. So the implication there being that he's being tortured in hell for the crime of making sure that people can have their souls saved. That never really worked for me. Anyway, thanks for joining us. It's late. We need to go, like, you've got schoolwork to do. I was hoping for, like, couch cuddles and an episode of Stranger Things, because we're almost at the episode where Boimler shows up.
You are Boimler.
No, I'm not, but I like Boimler. Boimler's pretty great.
You're pretty great, too.
Anyway, as always, fuck off.